Groovy English Podcast.
Hey there! Welcome back to Groovy English. I'm Chloe.
And I'm Aiden. We share real stories, useful tips, and everyday English to help you grow with confidence.
Wherever you are in your English learning journey, we're glad you're here.
If you're enjoying the podcast, feel free to like, subscribe, or share it with a friend.
Let's get started.
Hi everyone, I'm Olivia. Today, I want to share with you something very personal, something that completely changed my English learning journey. It's about what really happens when you decide to speak English every single day. At first, that idea felt a little overwhelming to me. Speaking every day? That sounds exhausting, I thought. I don't even have that much time. Plus, what if I make mistakes? What if people don't understand me? All those doubts were swirling in my head when I first thought about trying it. But here's the thing, consistency is magical. When you make speaking English a daily habit, even for just a few minutes, things start to change. Not immediately, not overnight, but slowly and steadily. And the changes are bigger than you expect. Let me take you back to when I started this routine. I decided to commit to speaking English every day, no matter what. Sometimes it was just reading a short paragraph out loud. Other days, I spoke to myself about my plans, my feelings, or what I saw around me. Even when I was tired or busy, I found a way to say a few sentences. At first, it was awkward. My tongue felt heavy. I stumbled over words, forgot basic phrases, and sometimes I felt like giving up. But I didn't. I reminded myself, Olivia, this is practice. Mistakes are okay. And that mindset made all the difference. One of the first things I noticed was how my confidence grew. Speaking became less scary because I was practicing regularly. I wasn't waiting for a perfect moment to talk. I was creating that moment myself every day. It was empowering. Gradually, I started to notice my pronunciation improving. Words that used to feel impossible to say started rolling off my tongue more smoothly. It felt like my mouth was learning a new dance, and every day I was rehearsing that dance a little more. But the biggest surprise wasn't my pronunciation or confidence, it was my thinking. I started thinking in English more often. Before, I'd translate everything in my head from my native language. That slowed me down and made speaking harder. When I spoke every day, my brain got used to English directly. I stopped translating every single word, and that made me faster and more natural. It felt like switching from driving a manual car to an automatic. Suddenly, things just flowed. Another unexpected change was how I noticed English everywhere. Songs sounded clearer, movies made more sense, and I could follow conversations better. Speaking every day made me more tuned into the language, like my ears were waking up to English sounds. I also started making more connections with people. Because I was confident enough to start conversations, I met new friends who spoke English. Some were learners like me, others were native speakers. These interactions became a huge motivation boost. One day, I realized something important. Speaking English every day wasn't just about the language, it was about building a new habit of courage. Every time I spoke, even if it was just to myself, I was practicing bravery. Speaking every day also taught me patience. Progress doesn't happen in big leaps, It's the small, consistent steps that add up. Some days I'd feel stuck or frustrated, but I kept going because I knew this was a marathon, not a sprint. And here's a secret. When you speak English every day, mistakes become less scary. I started seeing mistakes as stepping stones instead of roadblocks. Each mistake taught me something new and helped me improve. This habit also improved my listening skills. When I spoke out loud, I could better understand how words connected and sounded in real speech. I could predict what someone might say next and join conversations more naturally. One of my favorite moments was when I spoke English without thinking, when it just came naturally. I remember chatting with a stranger in English and not once worrying about grammar or vocabulary. It felt like freedom. Over time, speaking every day also improved my writing and reading. Because I was using the language actively, my vocabulary expanded, and I felt more comfortable trying new words and expressions in emails and messages. Speaking English daily made me more open to feedback too. I learned to welcome corrections instead of fearing them. Feedback became a gift that helped me grow rather than a source of shame. Another wonderful change was how much fun I started having with English. I played word games, tried tongue twisters, and enjoyed telling stories, all because I felt confident enough to experiment with the language. Daily speaking helped me prepare for real-life situations too. Whether it was a phone call, a meeting, or a casual chat, I felt ready. The language wasn't just something I studied, it was something I lived. And here's something I didn't expect. Speaking every day helped me outside of English too. I became more confident in expressing myself in general, more comfortable meeting new people, and even more motivated in other areas of life. Of course, some days were harder than others. Sometimes I didn't feel like speaking at all. But those days taught me that discipline matters. Showing up even when you don't feel like it is what creates change. I also learned to celebrate small wins. Saying a complete sentence, remembering a new phrase, or understanding a fast conversation. These moments kept me inspired to keep going. And now, months after I started speaking English every day, I can say something that once seemed impossible. I'm comfortable, confident, and excited to speak English anytime, anywhere. When I started this daily speaking habit, I didn't realize how much it would affect my mindset. Before, I thought learning English was about perfection, getting every word right, every sentence flawless. But speaking every day taught me that progress comes from effort, not perfection. I remember one morning when I felt completely stuck. I couldn't find the words to say what I wanted. Instead of giving up, I just kept talking anyway. I described the weather, my breakfast, anything that came to mind. That simple act of pushing through frustration was a big lesson. Another surprising change was how my memory improved. The more I spoke, the easier it became to remember words and phrases. It was like my brain was training to hold on to the language better, just by using it regularly. Speaking every day also helped me notice small details about English that I never picked up in textbooks, like how native speakers shorten words or use contractions naturally. These little things made my English sound more natural. I found myself using slang and idioms more comfortably. At first, I was scared to use informal language, worried it sounded wrong. But after hearing and practicing every day, I started trying expressions like no worries or what's up, and people responded positively. One challenge was staying motivated on days when I felt tired or busy. Sometimes life just gets in the way, but having a daily goal kept me accountable. Even if I could only spare a few minutes, I made sure to speak English. I also learned that speaking to myself out loud is not as strange as it sounds. In fact, it's one of the best ways to practice without pressure. I would narrate my day, describe what I was doing, or even tell myself stories. Technology helped a lot too. I used voice recording apps to listen back to my speaking. Hearing myself made me aware of my pronunciation and helped me catch mistakes I wouldn't notice otherwise. Another habit I built was shadowing, listening to native speakers and repeating what they say, trying to match their rhythm and intonation. Doing this every day improved my accent and made me feel more connected to the language. I realized speaking every day made me more curious about the culture behind the language. I started watching English movies, reading books, and even cooking recipes I found online, all in English. This made learning more fun and meaningful. Sometimes I spoke with strangers in English at cafes, in stores, or online. These real conversations were scary at first, but they gave me real-world practice that no textbook could provide. One thing I didn't expect was how much speaking English daily would help my self-expression. I became better at explaining my thoughts and feelings, not just in English, but in general. I also noticed my listening skills getting sharper. When I spoke more, I understood faster and better because my brain was training to think in English and predict what would come next. Daily speaking helped me overcome the fear of making mistakes. I saw mistakes as opportunities to learn rather than failures. This changed my whole attitude toward learning. I started setting mini goals for my speaking. One week I focused on using new vocabulary, another week on improving my fluency. These challenges kept my practice interesting. Sometimes I recorded short videos of myself speaking and shared them with friends or language partners. Their encouragement was motivating and helped me keep going. I found that speaking English every day also helped me in my job. I could participate more confidently in meetings and communicate better with colleagues. The habit made me realize that learning a language isn't just about studying, it's about living the language. Every word I spoke was a step closer to feeling at home with English. I also connected with a global community of English learners who spoke every day too. Sharing our experiences, challenges, and successes created a supportive environment. Through daily speaking, I discovered my favorite topics to talk about: travel, food, movies, which made practicing more enjoyable. Speaking daily helped me break through plateaus. When I felt stuck for weeks, the routine kept me moving forward until I suddenly noticed I had improved. I also learned to be patient with myself. Progress isn't always visible right away. Sometimes it's invisible but happening beneath the surface. Daily speaking helped me develop a better ear for pronunciation and grammar patterns without boring drills. I started to enjoy small conversations more, like chatting with a cashier or asking for directions. These moments became opportunities, not obstacles. I learned to celebrate effort instead of outcome. Just showing up every day was an achievement. My confidence outside of English improved too. Speaking daily taught me to take risks and embrace imperfection. I became more aware of cultural differences in communication styles, which helped me become a more thoughtful speaker. At times, I struggled with motivation, but remembering why I started helped me push through. Speaking every day gave me a sense of accomplishment that fueled my motivation. I learned that even native speakers practice daily to keep their skills sharp. It's a lifelong journey. Finally, speaking English every day changed not just my language skills, but my whole outlook on learning and life. It taught me perseverance, confidence, and joy in growth. So if you're wondering whether speaking English every day will make a difference, trust me, it does. Keep talking, keep practicing, and watch how your English transforms. One unexpected benefit I noticed was how speaking English daily improved my ability to think clearly. When I formed sentences and explained my ideas, it forced me to organize my thoughts better, not just in English, but overall. This clarity helped me in work and personal conversations. I also found that daily speaking helped me develop a better sense of timing and pauses in English conversation. I became more aware of when to take a breath, how to emphasize important words, and how to listen actively while others spoke. Sometimes, I challenged myself by changing the setting of my practice. Instead of always speaking at home, I tried talking to myself on the bus, in a park, or while shopping. This variation made the habit more dynamic and prepared me for real-life situations. I learned the value of positive self-talk in English. Instead of criticizing my mistakes, I encouraged myself with phrases like, "You're doing great," or "Keep going." This shifted my mindset and made learning enjoyable. Another important realization was that speaking every day helped me develop patience, not just with the language, but with myself. Language learning isn't a race, and daily practice reminded me that slow, steady progress is still progress. I started noticing improvements in my writing as well. When I spoke out loud, I paid more attention to grammar and sentence structure, and that awareness naturally carried over to my writing. Speaking English every day made me more open to making friends from different cultures. I felt confident enough to join conversation clubs and online communities, which broadened my worldview and made learning richer. I also became more creative with language. I started playing with jokes, storytelling, and expressions, which made conversations more fun and memorable. One day, I realized I was dreaming in English. This was a big milestone for me, proof that my brain was truly absorbing the language. Most importantly, speaking English daily gave me a new sense of freedom. I wasn't just a student of English anymore, I was a user of English. That shift transformed how I saw myself as a learner and as a communicator. I also noticed that my listening skills improved dramatically. When I spoke every day, I became more familiar with the rhythm and sounds of English, which made it easier to understand others. Suddenly, fast conversations didn't feel overwhelming anymore. Daily speaking helped me become more comfortable with making mistakes. Instead of fearing errors, I saw them as stepping stones. Each mistake became a lesson, and I started to appreciate the process rather than just focusing on the result. I started setting small challenges for myself. For example, one week I tried to learn and use 5 new expressions each day. The next week, I practiced telling short stories in English. These little goals kept me motivated and made my practice exciting. Because I spoke English every day, I also gained confidence in public speaking. Whether it was a presentation at work or a casual group discussion, I felt less anxious and more prepared. This confidence spilled over into other areas of my life. Lastly, speaking every day helped me connect deeply with English-speaking cultures. I began to understand jokes, idioms, and slang that I had never fully grasped before. This cultural insight made me feel more connected and included. If you're listening to this and wondering if daily speaking could help you, I want you to know this. It absolutely can. You don't need perfect grammar, a big vocabulary, or a fancy classroom. You just need to start and keep going. Make a promise to yourself today. Speak English every day, even if it's just for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or even one sentence. Because every word you say brings you closer to fluency. Speaking English every day will change your life. Not just your English, but your confidence, your mindset, and your connection with the world. So, go ahead. Talk to yourself, talk to a friend, or talk to a stranger. Make English a part of your daily routine and watch how your speaking skills grow like never before. Thank you for listening. I'm Olivia, and I hope my story inspires you to start speaking every day too.
Your English is shining brighter by the minute. Hit that next video to keep leveling up your skills. Or dive into our other episodes for more secrets to talk like a pro. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to join the Groovy English crew.